No one knows why this serial killer smiles, facing the worst kind of electrocution. He was smoking, he was still humming, the only thing he asked for before he died, and that was to shake the hand of John, the cop who put him in jail, as a sign of good cooperation. And what's even crazier, he proudly posed a riddle asking, "Why is there a gap between Floyd and Dan?" John and his co-worker Wang laughed at each other, thinking he's dying, and then they left the prison. They didn't know, but this man who looks like a madman is not. They will pay dearly for their misjudgment. Killer Reese was humming a little tune. He was executed on TV. The next day there was another murder in the city. Poison was injected into the victim's body and tortured to death. And here's the weird part. This is the exact same method of killing, is exactly the same as Reese's. Not only that, the killer also likes to clean up after his crimes. After committing a crime, the murderer likes to clean up the scene. Then he sleeps there for the night. After breakfast the next day, he also left fingerprints all over the house, and he used his left hand too. And there's that riddle on the wall again. Why is there a gap between Floyd and Dan? What if Reese had an accomplice? Or a copycat? Intuition tells John it's neither. A co-worker remembered that Dan was an honorary cop. His name was carved into the abandoned honor wall. John found the honor wall, and found that someone had been erased between F and Dan's names. And when he looked into it, it was the late police officer Rob. Rob had been honored as one of the 10 most decorated cops in the world, but 8 months later, he committed a series of murders. He killed himself in a cabin in the woods, and his daughter, Jerry, went into hiding. John drove to Jerry's house. Jerry asked John if the killer Reese loved to sing. John was surprised how you knew. Jerry said her father, Rob, was a good cop. The day he killed himself, all the clues are known. All the odds are against us. Then he went to a cabin in the woods by himself. Then he was found and shot himself. Jerry said he knew his father, Rob, was innocent, but he couldn't stop talking. It's a thriller from the great Daniel Washington, and it's serial killers. The killer's methods are the same, and what's even more bizarre, each time, the victim is the same as the last murderer. John and Wang returned to the police station over and over again. They reviewed the video of the first murderer's deathbed. They found a couple of suspicions. First, the killers were all right-handed in life, but in the video, they're all typically left-handed. Secondly, the first Reese murmured an unheard-of language before he left. The first Reese mumbled something in an unheard-of language. We'll have to leave it to the linguists to translate. That's when another call came in. A third murder occurred. The victim was the same as in the second murder. To find the truth, he went to the cabin in the woods where Robert had shot himself. John found Rob's handwriting on a board. There were books strewn across Azazel's desk. They contained information about the evil spirit Azazel. Is he involved in all this? Back at the station, John got Reese's translation. It says, "I can't get inside you, but even if I could, I'm not interested right now. I'm gonna fuck you up so bad. You're gonna die." John felt like he was talking about some kind of ritual, but there's no proof. The powers of the evil spirit. Azazel, do you see what I mean? Yeah, it's soul transfer. The evil spirit Azazel transfers souls by touching other people. By touching others, he can transfer their souls. All the serial killers possessed by him have all died in vain. John and his co-worker were discussing this. The co-worker was talking about it. They were humming the same tune that the killer sang before he died. Then he touches the next person at the same time. Azazel's soul was transferred to multiple bodies in a matter of minutes. Asaso's soul was transferred from one body to another. John returned home to find his nephew's friend possessed by Asaso, and chased him out. The nephew's friend touched an older man. He grabbed a gun and tried to shoot John, but John shot him back. He couldn't have imagined. The girl next to him was humming the Reese's Pieces again. How would I describe your shooting of this man? John was fired from his job by the old commissioner. He returned home to find his own brother murdered. The same killing method and habit. At the same time, emergency noises came from downstairs. John knew it was Ace's place, so he grabbed his nephew and ran out the window. The two of them arrived at Jerry's place. From the book that Rob left behind, Azazel could not only move through contact, his soul can float in the air 500 meters to find his next host. That's why Rob chose the cabin. He wanted to lure Azazel into his body and then kill himself. If he couldn't find a host, Azazel would die. But somehow the plan didn't work. John entrusted his nephew to Gray. In order to destroy Azazel once and for all, he would lure the spirit back to the cabin, and then die with him. Azazel couldn't find his host, so his spirit vanished. The hero waited at the cabin until late at night. Old Wang and the director came after him according to the information. They were ready to arrest him. During the standoff, Wang shot him in the head. It turned out that his old partner, Wang, had been possessed by Asa Show. Asa Show also admitted it. So what? He'll possess you later. During the struggle, John shot Wang. Then he graciously told Azazel, "Don't try to possess me. I smoke cigarettes. I smoke cigarettes with your favorite poison." After that, he shot the king dead. Asaso was knocked out of the host. He could only cling to the poison John, but within a few steps, he died in the snow. Unfortunately, a cat walked past John. Azazel was attached to the cat, so it turns out, that's why Rob didn't kill Azazel. Azazel was still in the crowd, continuing his evil deeds. That's the end of the story. Who will be the next John?